Hello, hi. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be here. I'm just going to grab my clicker. I believe it's called the Out of the Box Keynote, so I hope that I can deliver on that for you. AI, I'm sure you've heard it mentioned millions of times over the past couple of days. But I really want to take it from hype. I think last year was the year of AI hype. And I think this year is the year of implementation. So hopefully I can just leave you inspired by a few things that I've been making and lessons that I've learned from working in AI for a very, very long time. How are we feeling about AI? Are we terrified? Are we excited? Quiet is also okay. I always ask because I don't feel like anybody is kind of nonplussed. It seems to elicit quite strong, very human reactions for something so technological. I feel like either people are really excited it's going to come and take all the boring bits of their job away, or they're terrified that they're going to get replaced. And it's no surprise, while we're debating how we're going to use AI in our business, what is automation and what actually is artificial intelligence, and thinking about, who to train and how to set it up, AI is coming. And it's not a ripple, it's a tsunami. So I really hope we are feeling ready to put our armbands on, because I think it's a real call to action for us to level up our own skill set, really, at the moment. This is a graph. And it just shows you, if you are feeling overwhelmed, which many people are, about the pace of AI change, you are not alone. Moore's law told us that technology should double every 2 years. And over the past 10 years, we've advanced AI by about 1 million times. We've never had a technology that learns this fast in public, that even the people who are making it don't quite know exactly how it works. And I just wanted to put that into a kind of perspective that you could get down with, basically. I often say that we are upgrading the engine while we're flying through the air. And if air travel had improved at the same rate as large language models, we'd now be able to get from London to New York in just 19 seconds. So if you're feeling like you're not sure where to upskill, or you don't know where to start, or you don't know how to implement it into your business or your personal life, I just want to reassure you that it's moving extremely fast. I'm an AI consultant. I do this for a living, and I find it overwhelming to try and keep up with the pace of news. So I don't think it is an overestimation to say we're in the fourth industrial revolution. We had the iPhone. It totally changed our relationship with how we consume media. Then before that, the printing press changed our relationship with media. Then we had the iPhone, which we just got used to carrying around this computer in our pocket that was more powerful than the first computers that sent astronauts to space. And now we have artificial intelligence. You might have heard it compared to electricity. You might have heard it compared to the railroads, but it's a true revolution for every single industry. But the good news is, it might not be coming for your job. I don't think AI is necessarily going to replace you, but somebody who knows how to use it might. That's what I said about a year ago. Now, I would say I don't think AI is going to replace you, but your skills are going to be used in a different way. I heard a great analogy about accountants. When Excel was invented, all these accountants that had been relied upon for arithmetic, they weren't suddenly out of a job, but their skills were used in a different way. So I think that's a kind of interesting way to think about how your role is just going to slightly shift in the fourth industrial revolution that we're in the midst of. And the good news is, there's a huge opportunity. I go into businesses all the time, and I teach them how to implement AI, and often they'll want me, to make the products for them. And I'll say, there is nobody better at implementing AI into your workflow than you. Your superpower is knowing exactly what the job is to be done, and I really do think it's quite exciting. I often also go into businesses, and I think I'm talking about technology, but I'm actually talking about mindset, so that's an interesting one too. Humans in the loop. Have you heard this phrase before? I think we're in this age where, AI could be paying our invoices for us. It could be posting on social media for us. But personally, I definitely don't want that. Not only because as a human, it's, imperative that we feel important and that we have something to do, and we don't want humans to replace us, but also just because of the way that AI works. We are in a stage right now where humans need to be involved in every part of the process. Sometimes I like to talk about instant cake mixes here. So when the instant cake mix came out, it didn't do very well because people didn't really feel like they were cooking. But once they added the egg and the people at home felt like they were doing something, it flew off the shelves. And I just like to use this analogy for yourselves. If you're building AI workflows or products in your business, it's really important to make sure that humans, your employees and your colleagues are involved at every step of the way. So, who am I to bang on about artificial intelligence at 9 o'clock in the morning? Well, I've worked in AI for a very long time, since 2016. I started at Microsoft working on Cortana, which was their very first artificially intelligent personal assistant, as a writer. So I was going into the code and writing the chit-chat responses. Then I launched the Google Assistant in the UK. If you've ever wondered who writes the answers to how are you, do you love me, are you a feminist, do you like the Spice Girls, all that important stuff, that was me. And then most recently, I was at Meta, where I became a prompt engineer. And really, my job has evolved as the technology has. I've gone from a writer to a conversation designer to a prompt engineer. And you've probably heard that phrase bandied around. And really, at Meta, I was writing whole AI characters. And I mostly focus on coaching characters to help you do stuff from one long prompt. And we used to say prompt engineering is kind of like being a plumber, because we would write the prompt, and then we'd look at the output, and then we'd have to go back and forensically look through the text to see which word had caused a certain kind of output. And it's really because we love to anthropomorphize machines. It's why we look for a smiley face in the plug socket. And there's an evolutionary reason for that. We needed to know if the rock in the tribe next door was sentient or not. And the personality of the products that you're making is really, really important. So what does AI literacy mean? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean being great at coding. I've worked at all these great big tech companies, and I can do minimal lines of Python. I think really the age that we're in, it's about getting clarity of thought. It's about asking better questions. Sometimes I joke that British people are inherently bad at prompt engineering because we are terrible at being direct and asking for what we want. So I just wanted to skim through a couple of slides about prompting, because that's what I get asked on all the time before I talk about some of the things that I'm working on myself and things that I've made and capabilities that I hope will help you. We're really in an age of using words as tools. We're using words as keys to unlock the door, almost. And it's not a surprise that I started as a journalist and a writer, and now I'm here kind of making things using words. And if you feel like you're not getting the right outputs from AI at the moment, you're probably missing one of these key things from your prompts: context, persona, task, constraints, or format. Context, what world are we in? How are you feeling? What are we doing here? Persona, who's doing the job? Social media manager, project manager, confidence coach. Task, what exactly are we doing? When we designed AI characters, we call this the job to be done, and you have to really clearly define that. Constraints, arguably the most important. What do you want the output not to do? And formats, how do you want it delivered? 10-point bullet list, under 200 characters, in wrap format, it's up to you. I get asked all the time what the most important skill is in the age of AI. And last year, I would have said it was taste. Taste is important. A machine can't tell you which piece of music makes it cry or which piece of art it prefers. But now I would argue that it's critical thinking. Not only questioning the outputs that you get from machines, but thinking about how to combine two different APIs in an interesting way. That's where we're seeing the really exciting stuff getting built. I'm also a huge fan of intellectual humility. What does that mean? I think in the age of AI, I just told you how fast things have evolved. We're in an age of having to make our mind up about something, perhaps tell your team that you've made your mind up about something, and then a month or two later, publicly announce that perhaps you've changed your mind. And that's really difficult. That's a different way to how we usually do business, and it's difficult for the ego. But I like to employ AI as a cognitive prosthetic. So really not using it to replace me, but to fill in my own blank spots. So like you would hire someone, like a good entrepreneur, using AI to do the stuff that I'm not very good at or that I don't want to do, hoping that I can spend more time doing the stuff that I enjoy and that I am good at. I fundamentally believe that AI is a mirror. I think that what we put in, it will reflect back to us. And I just think that's really important to remember when you are using it in any which ways. And I mentioned I go into businesses to talk about technology, but really I'm talking about a culture shift. You know, we all have had training days and away days every now and again, but we're in this new era where we kind of need to be rigorously and consistently training the people that we work with and encouraging this culture of experimentation and play, which is totally different to how we've kind of done things before. And it's imperative that we get clear on our problem. If you don't have a clearly defined problem, then AI is not the solution, simply because AI requirements are different. If you were using a piece of software and it just suddenly stopped working, it would tell you. If you have prompted a piece of AI software and it's not working to the specifications that you want it to, it's not going to tell you about it. It will just find sneaky ways to carry on to seem like it's working. That could be spending your money. It could be posting on social media. So yeah, you've got to be careful in the age of AI hallucinations. So I wanted to talk you through some of the products that I have made myself. I mentioned I'm an AI consultant, and I've worked in AI for a very long time, and really I'm kind of pushing the edges of a lot of vibe coding and just trying to implement AI into my business as an entrepreneur and into my personal life. And I'm hoping it will inspire you to make a few things yourself. How many of you have experimented with making any products? Have you been making stuff? Yes, a little bit? Nice. Yeah, it's exciting. You know, we can go from to creating our own personalized app in no time in a way that we never have before. So I thought I'd start with something meta, how I use AI to prepare for this talk. I do a lot of talks, and I have a presentation brain. I've uploaded every single presentation I've ever done, and then I upload the transcript that I have with the client about the talk that I'm doing. Then I can say in the prompting, what from my presentations previously can I use and what can I not use. I've also got a separate automation running that reads the AI news for me that then I can ask and say, okay, what's happened in the AI news that I need to include in this instance or that I'm missing. This is my social media agent. I just uploaded all of my Instagram scripts, all of my captions, all of my LinkedIn, put it in there, and it just really helps me. I'm from a writing background, so I don't believe that AI should replace writers, but I do believe it's one of the most powerful tools writers have ever had when you think that we've only had the typewriter before this, or, you know, Microsoft Word, compared to the likes of Adobe InDesign and things like that. So it just really helps me. And actually, when I go into businesses and I show people how to train an LLM on their tone of voice, it really changes things. So there's quite a few clever things you can do to get stuff in your own style. This is an agent. It doesn't look so nice, so I just generated a picture. It's called Glance, Georgia Lewis Anderson's news condensing engine. I'm an AI consultant, and even I don't have time to read the AI news. It's really overwhelming. So I built an AI to read it for me. I put in all my favorite AI newsletters, and then I prompted the kind of stories that I like. So I like the human interest stories, people who have used AI in an interesting way, rather than who's moved company or, you know, chip stuff. So I prompted that, and then the next stage is I've prompted to get it summarized in my tone of voice using some of the transcripts from my social media agent, so the way that I talk and the way that I deliver things online. So I've got an AI reading my newsletters, picking my favorite stories, summarizing them in my tone of voice for like a 1-minute video. Then I can hook it up to my AI avatar and get myself saying it. So I've trained an AI avatar on like 5 minutes of video, and then I can post it directly to social media. So, you know, we're in an age where we're wondering what to trust online, but I think as an AI consultant, I'm okay kind of posting an AI experiment every week, reading out the AI news. This one is my affirmation capture. I think anybody who says they know everything about AI is lying, and I'm often the only woman in the rooms that I go into. So I thought, how can I use AI to help me with my confidence? So I've trained it on my own tone of voice with a few prompts around bigging myself up. And this is me saying, I'm doing a big keynote at Finovate today, and I'm a bit nervous. And this is what I'd say back to myself.
Nervousness signals your investment in this moment. Trust that your insights will resonate and your voice carries weight.
So that's just a combination of 11 Labs, which uses my own voice clone. I think I did the prompting on ChatGPT, although I actually prefer Claude for writing. And I kind of did the skin on Replit, which is my favorite no-code app maker. You just get a lot more control with that one. I wanted to show you this one. It's very simple. It's almost too basic because it's an example of a group app that you could make. This is an app that I made to compete with my friends to see who could have the least screen time. So all we do is we take a screenshot and we upload it and it makes a graph. So simple. But I wonder what's happening in your own teams that you could ignite a bit of friendly competition and make an app yourself. And this is my goal visualizer. I've got really into prompting images lately. This is just me running my AI empire. Don't worry about it. It just helps me get there, you know? So I'm sure you've heard about agents. Are many of you using those? I think we're in an age where sometimes we might be embarrassed to admit that we're not sure how AI works. So I just wanted to do a top line here. I know it's hot topics, and obviously the future will be agentic. But I often say that agents are the people that are kind of taking you to the airport, and assistants are the ones showing you the map of how to get there. And, you know, we don't always need an agent for every single case. I'll go into businesses, and they're like, we want everything to be agentic. And, you know, the capabilities of large language models are still in so many ways unexplored and kind of not used to their full capacity right now, just simply because of the knowledge gap. So it's just something to think about. You know, we don't always need technology for technology's sake. So an agent will kind of summarize, do your research for you, and, an assistant will summarize, do your research for you, and an agent will actually go out and do something. So I had an agent book in for a flight for me the other day. So we are in this kind of crazy world of computers working on their own. I won't get into Claude Bot, which is the latest debacle from the past week. Fundamentally, though, it comes down to intention. There's no point learning one piece of software or one large language model really, really well, because you know in the next week it's just going to change. So with my consultancy, we always think about what we're trying to achieve first and then backwards engineer the technology to get there. And this really changed things for me when I started to think about AI as collective human intelligence. Rather than something that's coming for our job, coming to replace us, that's smarter than us, that we should be scared of, imagine if we could pool all of the minds in this room, put them in a cloud, and then pull from them, you know? Sometimes I say, like, talking to AI is like talking to a library, and it's the personalization and customization that really hits and gets the results. So just the idea that I would be able to talk to all of your collective brains at once, it really changed things for me, and it made me feel excited in an age where AI doom is very warranted, but there is another side of excitement, not just for productivity, because I kind of hate that word, but just for democratizing access to creativity. So that was a lot of information to take in. Thank you so much for listening to me and having me, and have a great day.